In this video, I'm going to show you how to build a system to automate all your end-of-day reports for different team members in your agency. My name is Leo. I'm the CEO and founder of Fluxomate. Over here, we specialize in creating scale-proof systems for different agencies all over the world. And after putting together multiple end-of-day reporting systems, I decided to put everything together in one simple YouTube tutorial showing you exactly how you can steal this exact same system to build an automated end-of-day reporting system for your agency. The plan for this video is super simple. There's 3 different automations we actually need to set up. One for actually sending those end-of-day forms to different team members. The second one for actually receiving those forms and storing them somewhere. And a third one to automatically review those forms every single day and send summaries to different team members or even admins, for example. I'm about to show you guys the insights on the same frameworks we use in our partners agencies. So if you're new here, be ready to get your mind blown from a random guy in an orange hoodie because we don't hold anything back. Let's get straight into it. So in order to actually automate your end-of-day reporting system, like I said, we're going to have to set up 3 automations. Now, the tool stack we're going to use for this video is super simple. First, we need the automation tool. Now, this doesn't really matter what it is. You can just use any no-code automation tool. The 2 main ones are Zapier and Make. If you've watched the channel before, I use both of them on different tutorials. And in all honesty, I still use them both every single day. And honestly, it doesn't make a massive difference between the 2. Zapier is a bit more beginner-friendly, but it's a bit more expensive. And Make is a bit cheaper and you can do a bit more with it, but it is a bit harder to understand at first. But honestly, guys, both of them are 14-day free trials. You can check them out. I don't have any affiliate links or anything like that. So I'll let you make up your own mind and decide what's actually better. The second thing we need is a communication tool. Now, for this, we need Slack. We use Slack for everything that we do over here at Fluxomate, and most of our partners who are agency owners use Slack. So I just find it easier to actually use that for different demonstrations. But guys, in all honesty, it doesn't really matter which tool you're using. You can just copy this exact same framework I'm about to show you to whatever communication tool you use. But for this example, we're going to go for Slack. In terms of the database tool, we're going to go for Google Sheets. Now, you're going to see what I mean. I basically set up this sheet where we can track the different responses from the forms. If I was doing this properly, I would not use Google Sheets as a database. Don't get me wrong, Google Sheets is fantastic. You can do a lot with it. But for this specific purpose, I'd rather use an actual database tool like Airtable or even SmartSuite because there's a lot more scalable solution than Google Sheets, in my opinion. But to keep it as simple as possible for the YouTube, I'm going to use Google Sheets. And in terms of the form tool, this one really doesn't matter. I'm just going to go ahead and use Google Forms just because it's free, so I don't have to pay for this example. We use Typeform in our agency, but guys, really, it doesn't matter. They all have the same process. Just make sure whatever tool you use actually has API access, which most of them do. So those are the tools we're going to use in this video. Like I've said, guys, it doesn't really matter which tool you're using. You can copy this exact same framework to whatever tools that you're using within your agency. So for example, if you're not using Slack and using another communication tool, it's not the end of the world. This video will still be valuable, I guarantee it. Now that we're done with the formalities, let's go into the first automation, which is actually sending a reminder to your employees to actually complete that end-of-day form at the end of every day. This automation is super simple. It's basically going to run every day at 4 p.m. and it's going to send 2 Slack messages. Now, the reason it's sending 2 Slack messages is because for this example, I'm going to have 2 different sets of team members. I'm going to have customer success managers and appointment setters. Obviously, if you had more departments, all you'd have to do is just repeat these steps I'm showing you for the different departments within your agency. So for example, if you had sales guys and you wanted them to complete end-of-day forms, you just add another step instead of sending 2 messages to send 3 messages. And the only reason we're splitting them up is because these 2 departments are going to be completing 2 different forms. So the appointment setters are going to get a message with a link to their specific form, and the customer success managers are going to get a Slack message with a link to the other form. This message is going to include a little button, so it's super easy for them to just press it and do it straight away. The big thing about using these end-of-day reports is that you actually need to encourage your team to actually complete them on a regular basis. And this message just encourages them to do it and make sure no one forgets to accidentally fill it in. Let's head over to my Make account and you can get started actually building this automation out. So guys, I've just loaded up my test Make account and we're just going to go over to this create new scenario to actually start a new build for this automation. And we're going to call this end of day reporting automation #1 because the first automation we're actually going to set up. Now, once we're here, we're going to press this big plus button and search for Slack because that's our communication platform we're going to be using. Once we found Slack, we want to scroll down to create a new message, which is right here. Now, guys, if you have a new Slack within your automation, you will have to connect your account. It's super simple. You literally just have to sign in and approve make.com, or it'll probably be called Instagram, which is what it used to be called. Now guys, if I open my Slack channel, you can see mostly everything's hidden, but you can see there's two different channels I created yesterday. I've got one for appointment setters and one for customer success managers. Now both of them are public channels, so we're going to start off with appointment setters. It is a public channel, and I'm just going to find that public channel within my Slack. Just like that, guys, super easy. Now in terms of the text column, we're going to leave this empty for now because we're going to use blocks instead. If you haven't used blocks before, it's basically what allows us to send these messages with buttons or different formats rather than just text. I always prefer using blocks because there's a lot more you can do with the formatting. And for example, instead of it being a link as a button, which actually incentivizes everyone on my team to actually complete these end of day forms and makes it a main priority. If you're not familiar with blocks, it's super simple. You can head over to app.slack.com/block-kit-builder. And there you'll be able to see this block builder. And here you can just write your text up normally, add different things like tech fields, markdown, whatever it is you want. And then you can copy and paste this code within your Make account or your no code automation tool. For this example, I was actually kind enough to already do these blocks for you so you don't have to do it yourself. So I'm just going to copy and paste this in. Feel free to pause this and copy it. The only thing we want to change it is the URL. And because the first thing I'm going to do is for the appointment setters, I want to include the link to this specific form which I completed, which is the appointment setter end of day form. We'll get to the questions later, but for this, I'm just going to go over to send. I'm going to copy this link. I'm going to go back to my make.com. Instead of using this URL right here, I'm just literally going to delete this and copy and paste the new URL for my Google Sheet. Now I'm going to press OK. Now, usually when I do this, I do also like to change the advanced settings. The only reason I do this is because it looks a lot cleaner. Instead of it being a make integration, it will come up as the end of day robot, which I like to call it. So for this, all we're going to do is scroll down to icon emoji, and then you can put any emoji you want, but I always like to put robot_face. And then for the username, I'm just going to put end of day bot. Just like that, guys. Now, if we test this right now, we'll see it successfully worked. And if you open up Slack and we go over to the appointment setter channel, you can see we just got a new message asking us to complete the end of day form before the end of the day. And if you actually press this, it should take us to the appointment setter end of day form, which it does. So now that I know that works, I'm literally just going to copy and paste it and do the exact same thing for the customer success channel. Like I said, guys, if you have more departments that you actually want to be sending these end of day forms, instead of copying it twice, you can copy it 3 times. So I'm just going to right click on this and press clone. And I'm just going to drag it here to actually connect it. Now, the only thing we actually want to change it is first the channel and then second the link to the actual form. So instead of the appointment setters channel, it will be the customer success channel. And then if we scroll all the way down to the form, I want to grab the link for the customer success end of day form and just replace it just like that, guys. Super simple. One thing about creating automations, doesn't matter how good you get it, as you're going through it, make sure to always test it because it can avoid any problems in the future. So I'm just going to go ahead and test this module right now. And if you open up Slack again, go to the customer success side of things, you can see the exact same message. And now if you press this button, it should take us to the customer success end of day form, which it does. So guys, that's all set up. The last thing we actually do is actually need to set up the trigger. Now the first thing that happens here is that Slack message. So for this, all we're going to do is press this little clock here. And all we're going to do is change the run scenario. Instead of it being at regular intervals, we're going to scroll down and put days of the week. Now, if your team works every single day, then you don't have to do this. You can just put every single day. But let's say you're doing Monday to Friday, just select Monday to Friday and then choose your time, which in this example, for us, it'll be 4 p.m. Just like that. So now, guys, we've gone ahead and completed the first automation. And like I said, what this will do every single day at 4 p.m., it will send those 2 different Slack messages encouraging the team to actually complete those forms. Now that we've actually managed to get them to complete a form, we need to actually build the automation to store those forms somewhere. And this automation is another very simple automation. All we're going to do is every single time a form is submitted, we're going to add it to the database. Now, for this example, this will be Google Sheets. Like I said, usually I wouldn't do this, but just to keep it as simple as possible for YouTube, I've gone ahead and created this example sheet, which I open up and show you guys. It's nothing complicated. All I'm collecting here is the date, the department, the name, the amount of hours worked, the feedback, and you can see I've got 2 different sections. I've got an orange section and I've got a green section. The orange section is questions from the appointment setters, and the green section you're seeing here is responsive from the customer success team. So every single time someone fills in, it's going to automatically fill the information and put it in the appropriate section. Let's go ahead and actually build this out. So within Make, we're going to go ahead and save this scenario, and then we're going to exit and create a new one. So we're going to head and go create a new scenario. And this will be a Google form. Now, we're going to have to set up 2 different scenarios, one for the customer success and one for the appointment setters, but it will literally just be a copy and paste. It's super simple, guys. So I'm going to leave this one as the customer success one first, automation 2. And then we're going to press this big plus button right here. And now we want to look for Google Forms. Like I said, it doesn't matter what form platform you're using. So for this, we're going to go watch responses and just going to go ahead and copy your form ID. Now, if you don't know, you can also search for it. So all you have to do is just search that document title and for us, it'll be customer success end of day, just like that. And let's put the limit to 5, just in case they all complete it at once, which is unlikely. Now, guys, if you actually open up this form, you can see a couple of things. I'm allowing them to select the name of a specific employee. I'm asking how many hours they worked. I'm asking how many client meetings they had. I'm asking how many times they completed. I'm asking how many issues they resolved and if they have any feedback they'd like to share. A cool thing about this is that it only allows me to input numbers, which is very important because let's say instead of them putting 3, they put 1, as in spelling out, it will mess up the data on the database side of things. So I'm making sure that it only put numbers. So I'm just going to go ahead and complete this as an example so we can get something in through the automation. So I'm just going to speed it up as I do this. So guys, I'll just go ahead and fill this up. I'm just going to press submit. And now if you go back here and just run this module early, we should see a full submission come in, which you do. Now we can actually create a second step, which is just adding it to the Google Sheets database I created. So for this, I'm just going to press this plus button again, and I'm going to look for Google Sheets. Luckily for me, it's right there. And now for this, I'm just going to put add row because you're going to add a row at the bottom of the table. Now you actually have to find your sheet for Google Sheets. It's pretty self-explanatory. So I've just gone ahead and connected my end of day sheet, and I'm going to choose the sheet that's actually being hosted on, which if you go back over here, you can see it's the YouTube end of day sheet. Now we've connected Google Sheets, all we have to want to do is input that information from the Google form to the Google Sheet. Now I'm aware that there's a direct integration that you can just do it straight on Google Sheets. However, I want to show you how you can actually copy these frameworks to any other database you're using. And because Google Forms doesn't have that direct integration with everything, I wanted to show you how you can actually automate this using a tool like Make. Cool, so I'm just going to go ahead and import all these things. So the first thing you want to do is the date. If you don't know how to do this in Make, you can just press this little calendar option here. You can put format date, press in between the bracket. The first thing has to be the now date, and then you can just format it. So for this example, I'm just going to put day, month, and then that's how we do it in UK, guys. Sorry to you Americans. And then for the department, this is going to be the customer success side of things. So I'm just going to put customer success. And now, guys, you can start filling in information from the Google form. Now, to do this, you just want to press this little star right here, and you can see all your responses from Google form. A very, very important thing is when you're filling this in, you have to actually expand it out. So, for example, for name, I'm just going to go over here, text answers again, and then input the actual value. The format will be messed up if you don't do that. It's a bit long, but I'm just going to speed this up now and do it for all the other variables. All right, guys, so I've gone ahead and automatically added all of those in. As you can see, I skipped out the appointment set, follow-ups, and calls made because those are the columns for the appointment setters, and this is just for the customer success side of things. So I'm just going to press OK now. And if you're going to run this whole automation, as you can see, guys, it's gone ahead and looked at that form response and added the row. And if you open up Google Sheets again and we scroll all the way to the bottom, you can see we have that being filled in from today. So we have the date, customer success, Jane Smith, the amount of hours she worked. And if you scroll all the way, you can see all the data being automatically inputted. The last thing we want to do for this automation, the exact same thing as last time, we want to set up the trigger. So now you can either do it at regular intervals or for me, I'm just going to put every day and I'm going to give them until 5. So I'm going to give them until 5:50 because 6 p.m. is when we're going to start analyzing the data. So we're just going to put 17:55. So now every single day at 5:55, it's going to collect all those form responses and add them to the Google Sheet. And that's it for the customer success side of things. Now we literally just want to copy that and do the exact same thing for the appointment setters. And instead of doing the whole automation from the start, I'm just going to scroll over here and I'm going to clone it. I'm going to change this to appointment setters. Now the only thing we want to change is the form and then where to put the actual responses. So I'm going to search for my appointment setter form, which is already found right there. Limit will stay 5. And then, guys, I'm just going to do the exact same thing I did previously within the data. Now this will stay the same, this will stay the same, and this one will stay the same. The only thing we're changing is we're going to delete these 3 modules because we're not collecting that information and just do the exact same thing for appointment set, number of follow-ups, and calls made. So I'm just going to, once again, I'm just going to fast forward this as I do it so you don't have to sit here and watch me do this. Just like that, guys, super easy. So I'm just going to test this now. So if I go all start, and then we just run this module to double check everything's working properly. Just gone ahead and automatically collected that form response and then added to the Google Sheets. And if you open up Google Sheets just to check, we can just see we have Sam Black here. The only thing I need to change that from customer success to appointment setter, but I'll go ahead and do that now. and we have all the information automatically being added to the database. The trigger for this automation will be the exact same as the previous one, whereas it's triggering itself every single day at 5:55, 5 minutes before we're actually analyzing the responses. We can collect everyone's responses and add them to the Google Sheet or the database or whatever database you're using automatically. All right, guys, so we've gone ahead and automatically set up the first automation to send a reminder to our team to actually complete those end of day forms, and the second automation to automatically take that data that your employees will fill out from a Google form and add it to the database, which in this example was a Google Sheet. The third automation we want to do will actually allow us to analyze that data every single day and share it with relevant team members, admins, whatever. Now, for this, it'll be quite simple. All we're going to do is read the database, summarize the data, and then send a Slack message based on that summary. Now, we are going to use ChatGPT to summarize it. If you're not sure how to connect ChatGPT to Make, you can check out this video in the top right-hand corner. It's a very, very simple integration, and it really allows you to supercharge your automations to the next level. But this automation is going to follow a similar path as the other automations. We're going to be triggering it every single day at 6 p.m. And we're basically going to get it to read our database. Now, guys, in order to actually summarize that data, I've gone ahead and created a couple of custom formulas within my Google Sheet. Now, this is very, very basic. And obviously, if you're doing this properly, you'll have to analyze a lot more stuff. But I'm just going to analyze two specific things. I'm going to analyze the average number of appointments actually set. And I'm just using this simple formula to filter it for the specific day, and the average number of meetings that my team is having on the customer success side of things. And once again, I'm filtering out for today. So this automation, I'm just going to get it to read this, send it to a Slack message. I'm going to get it to read this, send it to a Slack message. I'm going to get it to summarize both of them in a message to send a general message to my team leaders. This probably sounds like gibberish, but it'll get a lot simpler when you actually see it in action. So let's head over to make.com to actually build this out. So for this, I'm going to go ahead and create another scenario. And the first thing we're actually going to do is read that Google Sheet. For the Google Sheets volume, I'm just going to go ahead and get a range. I've gone ahead and already automatically chosen my spreadsheet ID as well as a specific sheet name. And for the range, I'm just going to put M3 to N3, which is basically where my data is hiding. Once again, guys, if you're doing this properly, you'd have a lot more data that you're actually summarizing in this. But just for this example, I'm keeping it as simple as I can. I'm just going to press OK and actually test this. So I'm going to run this module. And we should see those two different numbers, which are the averages for the day. So if you open this up, you see the two different values here. 3, which is the average number of appointments, and then 4, which is the average number of meetings. Now it's time to actually manipulate that data. Now, the first thing we want to do is send the relevant messages to the team leaders. So in this example, I'm going to send 2 different messages to the 2 different channels. One to the appointment setting channel, and then one to the customer success channel to let them know the average number of meetings that was set. For this, I'm just going to press a little plus button right here, head over to Slack. I'm going to scroll down again to create a message, and similar to what we did before, we're going to send a message to that channel. So first is going to be appointment setters, and I'm going to see a simple message, average number of the day, and I just get enter it straight, which is M. Now, quite obviously, guys, if you're doing this properly, you'd have to format the message a bit more, possibly even use blocks like I showed you earlier. But I'm just keeping it simple, just for the purpose of not making this video too long. I'm just going to press OK, and I'm just going to duplicate this and do the exact same thing for the customer success channel. So instead of appointment setters, I'll change this to customer success. And now instead of M, we'll change that to N. And instead of appointment set, we'll put meetings today. Now, as always, we'll have to test them out. So we'll run this module and we'll put the example of 3. And we're going to run this as well and put the example of 4. And if we open up Slack, we can see average number of meetings today 4, average number of appointments today 3. So now that we've actually sent those messages to the specific team leaders within that channel, I also want to send a general summary of the day to an admin or even a CEO, for example. And for this, all we're going to do is press another plus button right here. And this is where I'm actually going to use AI. So we're going to search for ChatGPT. So I've just gone ahead and connected my OpenAI account. And for this, we're going to select the method of prompt completion, and then you can choose whatever model you want. Obviously, we're not doing anything too complicated, so choose the cheap one, which is 3.5 turbo. And for my prompt, I'm going to keep it super, super simple. I'm just asking it to take the information and create a summary for the day, and I'm just going to input that information. So first, you want the average number of appointments set by appointment setters, and if you scroll all the way down, we can get that number, which is M. And then we'll have that, and then we want to actually include the average numbers of meetings held by the customer success team. And for this example, is N. And I'm just asking it to keep it nice and friendly. So I'm just going to head and press OK. I'll keep this as 0. And I'm just going to go ahead and run this module to see the type of response I get. So you got a test response. If you open this up, and we'll see is generate a super quick summary. And obviously you could refine that however much you want. And then the last thing I'm going to do is send that summary over to Slack to a team leader channel. So for this, we're going to do the exact same thing we did previously. I'm going to create a message. And for this example, I'm going to use our testing channel. Obviously, you can send this to your CEO or even, I don't know, your admin group, for example. And I'm just going to literally copy that information straight from ChatGPT for the text just by inputting the result. And I'm going to go over, press OK, and just test that. And now if we open up Slack, let me go over to the testing channel. You can see we have that summary with the amount of average client meetings we had and the average number of appointment setters, which is coming straight from information on the spreadsheet. The cool thing about this, guys, is that it all happens automatically. All right, guys, so we've gone ahead and built up 3 different automations. One to automatically remind your team to actually complete those end of day forms. One automation to automatically gather all that information that they submit in the team form and add it to a database. And a third automation to automatically summarize that information every single day at 6 p.m. Then send it to the relevant channels and then create an AI generated summary to send to admins. And that's literally how you can automate your end of day reporting. Now, I showed you a lot of frameworks in this video, and you always might have to tweak it a bit depending on specific strategies. But in order to take this to the next level, there's 4 main things you need to do. First is building a better database. What I showed you is extremely basic, and in all honesty, you shouldn't be hosting it on a Google Sheet. You're better off using an actual database tool like Airtable, SmartSuite. There's a bunch in the market that can actually provide a scalable solution. The second thing is asking more questions. Now, in these forms, I kept it super brief, only asking for 3 main KPIs or metrics. Obviously, if you're doing this properly, I would encourage asking more questions, but not too many, depending on the frequency, how often you're actually going to be doing this. If you're doing it at the end of every single day, you don't want to make it too long because then people might not do it, which quite obviously you don't want. Another thing I'd had if I was actually doing this properly is to use assistants within the automation. Now, if you're using AI in any sort of way within your automations, you need to actually use assistants because the responses you'll get are so much better and refined to your actual needs. Obviously, in this example, the prompt was extremely simple and weren't processing a lot of data. But if you're doing this properly and you're actually summarizing a lot more data than just the 2 columns I showed you earlier, I suggest using an assistant to get much better responses on a consistent basis. And the last thing I would also add to this is a follow-up system. This just makes sure that your staff is actually completing those end of day forms. So for example, if they haven't completed it, let's say by 5:30 or 5:40, it sends them another message to actually track them and remind them that they need to complete it before 6 p.m. or else they've missed the deadline. Now, obviously, those are next level things that are completely unnecessary, and you can literally copy what I showed you today and get started actually automating the end of the reporting. This is just for people that want to actually take that to the next level. And honestly, none of these things are complicated, guys. Just copy this exact same frameworks that I showed you today and replicate it within your own automated end of the reporting system that you'll be using to build a really scalable solution for your agency. That's pretty much it on my end, guys. If you've watched it up to this point, a lot to me if you actually like the video and subscribe to see a lot more videos like this. At the moment, we're posting about 2 to 3 videos every single week showing you the behind the scenes on stuff like automated end of day reporting systems and really scalable solutions that you can implement and still from us within your agency completely for free. I can guarantee there's no one else out there in this space giving this much value out on a consistent basis. So if you want to see more videos like this on different hacks you can actually integrate within your agency, make sure to like and subscribe to get more of this on your feed. And lastly, guys, if you've watched until the end, you're probably interested in different ways you can use things like automation and internal tools to build really skill-proof systems for your agency. So I've put together this 20+ page Google document going over exactly how you can steal all of our frameworks and do that for yourself. To get access to this, all you have to do is fill out the first form in the description. Now, it does take about 5 minutes to complete, but it's worth it because from that, you'll get your onboarding process optimized based on your specific pain points, your client journey optimized once again based on your specific pain points, and 5 automation examples with step-by-step guide on how you can actually set each step up. And once again, those are all based on your specific pain points and the different bottlenecks that you're encountering within your agency. It's an extremely valuable tool. It's what we call a doc magnet. And as with everything else we're doing in this channel, it's 100% free. So make sure to make the most of that. Apart from that, guys, that's it from me today. I hope this video has been valuable. And please, if you have any questions about anything I showed you today in terms of Make, Slack, Google Forms, the spreadsheet, the database you should use, anything, drop a comment below. I'm more than happy to help you guys out. I say this quite often, but you guys have a massive advantage now because we're a very small channel. So if you have any questions, we're 100% going to see it and give you an in-depth response to actually solve your problem. So please make the most of that. Make sure to keep an eye out because we're dropping more videos this week. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye bye.